Hello, hello! Today we're going to look at the new announcement that AWS has brought up yesterday, where it made Q Developer available in GitHub, and you can now try this out on public repositories and play around with the Q Developer agents that the new announcement features. And I'm back again with Raphael on the show today. Raphael, welcome.
Hey, Joanna, thank you for having me on the show again.
The announcement that we're talking about is this one. What was your first thought when you read this yesterday?
So I was also seeing a preview before it was announced, but I was very excited to see how it really works out because it could be a good pair programmer or virtual colleague in your development team that can help you draft PRs, maybe build full features, and accelerate your development cycles very much.
Yeah, and I'm also eager to see how it works out, and I think that's what we want to do right now. So let's directly get started, and we're going to start from scratch. That means that we are going to start with creating a new repository. I will then give you permissions to use that new repository, and then we are going to take it from there. While I do that,
Are there any
go ahead.
prerequisites to set up for Amazon Q developers
Oh,
and GitHub?
that's an amazing question. Obviously, the answer is yes. The way that you set that up is you need to go to GitHub and to the applications, and then you need to install this Amazon Q developer app, which is the one that is actually going to be used. You can then decide whether you're going to use this for all of your repositories or only for a few ones. That means that I will need to activate that after we have created the new repository, because at the moment I'm just using it for a sub portion of my repositories, right? To just not use it for everything. I don't know what the quota is. I'm gonna need to find that out, right? But we'll see how that actually goes. So the way that you do that is just by installing GitHub app from the marketplace, and the blog post also has the comments around how to get there, and I can link that in the show notes. But a great question, Raphael. Sorry.
So it's similar like connecting a GitHub repository to AWS in the past, just a new application in the GitHub apps.
Yes.
Cool. So now you're generating a new repository that we will use to explore the capabilities of Q Developer. So you're generating a repository, of course, make it public so we can share that afterwards.
Yes,
As a
exactly.
good developer, you're adding git ignores and licensing from the startup. So
That's what, well, essentially what I'm doing, but it would be great to directly have an agent that does that useless stuff for me as well. But let's talk about that in maybe a few years. Okay, so now I think I need to enable you, and I need to enable GitHub, the Q developer on this one. I can invite you over here. Add people. What is your handle again?
Raphael Monkey.
That's too easy, Raphael. There you are. It should offer me my colleagues, my friends as default here, but anyway. Okay, so now I'm gonna configure a Q developer. As I said, for that I need to go to my personal settings, which is where I have my Q developer already installed, and now I need to enable a new repository over here. And I think I called that I generated with Q. And now, Raphael, I think I will need to pass you this repository, otherwise it's gonna take a few minutes. So while you're doing that, now we have this empty repository, there is nothing in it. I'm going to stop sharing, and while you're preparing things on your side, I'm going to try to talk about what we actually want to do. As a next step, what we want to do is we want to now first have a basic CDK application that Raphael is going to create. That basic CDK application is going to actually then be pushed to a branch. We will then create a pull request. After creating the pull request, what the Q developer will actually do, the application that we just installed, is it will actually start to review the code that Raphael is publishing. Obviously, it's going to be a generated code as well, right? We're going to then get a feedback from the review agent. The review agent checks for best practices, and it also checks for security findings. We will then see if we can accept the pull request in the way that Raphael has put it up. And then we will have a basic CDK application. Now, this basic CDK application is going to come without any CI/CD process. So what we're aiming to do as a next step is then going to ask to create an issue in the repository, and then we will ask the Q developer agent to actually go ahead and create the GitHub action for us. And I'm eager to see how that goes. So whenever you're ready, Raphael, we can move on with your. Okay, so we now have this new branch that Raphael created. It's an add CDK app. Did you already raise the pull request, or should I do it?
Nope.
Let's do it.
No, I haven't. Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna pick this branch, and now we will create this pull request. We will now have the Q developer automatically looking at this branch here at this PR. It's going to review it for security vulnerabilities and for code quality issues. It's going to take a few minutes, and then we'll see if this is going to then give us some meaningful feedback here as well. Now, what I'm wondering is, like, if I activate this and it automatically runs on every pull request, when will I hit my quota limits? And now, next question is this now, and I haven't read the details of the documentation, but is the quota now going on me because I opened the pull request, or is the quota going on the repository, or is the quota going on you, Raphael? Do you know that? So the queue already came back with no security issues, yay, and no code quality issues either. That actually means that I think I need to add you as a review. I don't know why I added you as an assignee. I'm still sometimes mixing up, but that means that you can now approve this pull request, which will actually then merge this to main, and then we are going to add an issue that we're going to assign to Q.
Of course, I approve the PR. Let's get that merged.
Cool. Thank you for your open source contribution, Raphael. This was amazing. Now let's go ahead and
let's do some product management.
I think this is a good start.
Yes, I would add some remarks for the developers, because right now we don't have a database and everything set up. So maybe add a remark for our developers to use some mock data instead of a real database. Maybe we should also add some acceptance criteria as a bullet point list to easily verify if things were successful or not. I mean, we could use a technical one because we are also directing to a developer directly. So maybe just have like an API endpoint or get route for, how did we call it, events?
Our application needs to contain an API gateway with one route to retrieve the events. We need, our application needs to have a lambda function written in TypeScript. That is served behind the API gateway route. I think let's try and let's see how far we get, right? Maybe we can then iterate on top of that. And now I need to add this label, which is the Amazon Q development agent, to directly make it work on this, right? So I'm gonna assign Raphael as you then reviewing the stuff that the code is that being created, and let's see what happens. We are directly going to create a second thing, right? Because the cool thing around agent development is I can now let this run in the background, and it's gonna give me a feedback, right? So as you know, Raphael, I always want to talk about CI/CD. So I propose maybe we can ask it to create a CI/CD pipeline or a CI pipeline initially, right?
Definitely. That's one of the most important things you should do when you start up a new project. Add a CI pipeline at least to make sure that all your tests and build are always passing when they get to main.
We need to create a continuous integration CI pipeline for the project. The CI pipeline should be a GitHub action that is executed on every push. Is that correct? And every creation of a pull request. What do you want to do? At least run, build, and test. And then we have a editing command. Maybe we can decide to ask the editing command. Maybe TypeScript project. Have time, please. Link thing. Well, I'm talking to my developer. So, and let's see what happens. And this is going to be interesting, right? Because we don't know what is going to happen. Oh, there is a pull request already. This is the issue that we just created. We assigned QDeveloper, and here it already told us, okay, I'm going to work on this and I'm going to get back to you when I'm done.
We have a CI pipeline. We have our basic API. So what else do we need?
Deployment pipeline, of course.
Deployment pipeline, of course.
Yeah. We need a deployment pipeline that triggers the CDK deploy command after push to main. Okay, so here, please create a deployment pipeline that triggers CDK deploy command after push to main. We need to ensure that all tests pass before we trigger the deployment. Please assume that we have OIDC connectivity already set up to the target AWS account. And another thing that I always want to add is that I want to define the region. The target deployment region should be EU Central. No, let's be stupid. Should be the AWS region in Frankfurt. Obviously, product owners do not always know the name of the region under the hood.
You forgot one important thing. What about documentation? So I think it's very important to have a documentation about the deployment pipeline and maybe even how to set up OICD.
What do you mean by that? So you want more to get?
I think he should also document the things he's building. So please also document the deployment process in a README.
Okay.
I have a lot to do after this recording.
The pull request. No, I don't know how long is this gonna take. And I to be honest, I fear
we have a first comment.
I think we had that a little. I think it's, to be honest, I think that this is failing. Yeah. So I think this was too much for our CI pipeline. For our Q developer. He didn't understand it. That's a pity. Maybe the task was too big.
Can we give the Q developer another coffee? And in human, that resolves a lot of problems.
Buy me a coffee. Okay, but anyway, here we have the proposal for events, right? So this one now is the first one that we opened, right, to create this new route. And as you can see, Q developer over here said, okay, I'm done, right? I have a pull request to look at, and I think maybe we can just use this as an example and see how it actually works. So this is the pull request created. The pull request created has a description of it. It has some information around actually what is going to be done. It tells us exactly what it actually tried to do, and it comments on the PR that it resolves number 2. That means if you have set up automation, it would automatically close the issue as well. Okay, so now it gives us the advice that I can now go to the Files Change tab and I can give it some comments and I can then request changes. Let's see what he does if we do that. At the same time, I can see that Q developer itself is now reviewing the pull request and is reviewing it for security vulnerabilities and code quality issues. This is pretty interesting. And it has actually found an issue already. So let's look at that. I propose we just go over and look at files changed.
So let's look at the changed files and maybe... So we have 2 changes in our files. The stack got changed and the lambda function itself. So let's head over to the lambda to the stack. Let's close the files tab and see. Okay, we got new imports. Of course, we need the imports for the lambda function because we want to deploy a lambda function. We need an API gateway. Path probably makes also sense. And we use the Node.js lambda function. Okay, let's see what that one is used for. So we generate a Node.js function. I'm really happy that he used this Node.js L3 construct and not trying to build its own build chain and everything.
But I'm unhappy
So
that it uses Node 18, to be honest.
yeah, that would be my next comment. So I would directly go, hey, okay, I will comment. So the handler fine, the entry path also makes dir name, lambdas event handler. I think that was the path lambdas event handler. That's right as well. External modules, SDK. Yeah, okay, that also I don't like that. And minify makes sense. Environment, node production. Okay, that looks good. The API gateway, so we have REST API, the events API, then we have specified the name, description. We have course already set up. That always is helpful because it's always a little bit of struggle to find out which parameters are required to set up
That is
course. So we
true.
thought about that as well. That is a good thing. And now we are adding our events route. That is what we expected. We added it as a get route and we connect it to the Lambda function. It also uses all the L2 constructs and L3 constructs. That's quite cool. So let's check what the issue is here for security. No error handling or input validation for the Lambda function integration. Oh, that's not that big of a problem because that's probably handled in the Lambda function itself. Oh, there's a detailed response from Q to its own issue finding. Yeah, so you could use request templates to validate the request on the API gate level directly and use like a JSON schema. So it is a nice idea to do it. Let's go over if it also suggested, oh, cool. It also suggests the fix for it. So please fix the comment I left. Let's see what happens.
Let's see. So actually we were waiting for Q to pick up the changes that Raphael requested. Here's the disclaimer. Raphael did not yet install the Q developer application to his GitHub. Now, I'm gonna just try that out, right? Maybe it doesn't react on Raphael because he doesn't have the application installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add my own comment in terms of, yes, please do this. As we said at the beginning, the installation of the application is bound to a user. It's not bound to a repository. So it's bound to Johannes. So what I'm kind of expecting is that maybe it doesn't see that there's something that we're asking it to do. And I'm just going to try and see if this now kicks off Q developer. And it gave up on the other requests as well, right? So I tried a bunch of things in the background to make it re-trigger, but Q gave up again.
But it's not because we're hitting some quotas, right?
I don't know. That's the question. I don't know. I cannot triage this. Okay, so let's go back to the pull request that we just asked it. Okay, so here it now reacted on at least my comments. It did not react on your comments, Raphael, right? Essentially, I guess because you did not install the Q application yet. But it now reacted on my comment, and now it's going to generate some code based on the feedback. So the assumption seems to be correct. Like I need to install this for GitHub to be able to use it. And I think that was something I wanted to validate, so we just validated that. Q developer came back with, okay, he updated the pull request, or he or she, I don't know. And now we would need to look at reviewing this again. And after the Q developer did the updates, we actually see that the Q developer once again is checking for security and quality issues, and this is now in progress. But we also see that there is a new commit that has been added to this PR. So I'm gonna go and look at share files changed and see if this now matches Raphael's expectations. The next thing would be to look at, is this code actually functioning, right? When we look at it on our local. This is where I would then hand over to you again, Raphael. But first, let's see, is there anything else that you believe we need to fix in the PR?
Not immediately. So I think it's a decent PR to solve the task. I'm a little bit disappointed that Q developer is not thinking about testing without explicitly telling him. But yeah, I would have expected to have also some tests written for the Lambda function and maybe even for the CDK stack.
And we will now see that there's a test over here.
It is a mock event. It is calling the handler with a mock event and expecting 200. Response body, verify some things. Looks promising. And the second one is error handler. The body will throw an error.
I would
Looks decent.
say looks decent. Let's look at the snapshot test. The snapshot test is interesting as it cannot have snapshots, right? It would need to generate them, but at least it found out that there's going to be some resources that are required as part of this CloudFormation stack. So I would say this doesn't look that bad, right? And then here, obviously, this test is now going to fail, right? Because here it says expect snapshot to match snapshot, and there is no snapshot created and no snapshot checked in as part of this process, right? So I think that's something that Q could improve going forward as well. I would say, Raphael, let's just merge this, right? And then let's go to looking at, is the code that this has been generated, is this actually functional, right? So I will approve this PR if that's okay. Then you would also need to approve the PR. Then we would merge it. So maybe you can do that in the background.
And what should we try first?
NPM test.
Tests, or?
Yes, I want to see NPM test because that will show me if the code is actually working or not.
Let's try it again, run test. Now there should be no build error at least, and the test should be faster. So we have 2 failing tests, and expecting that...
We expected 1 resource of type math method, but we got 3 is one of the first errors. Okay, I would say, Raphael, let's not record the fixing the tests, right? But what I think what we can say is like we got Q to generate code for us, including unit tests, and the unit tests that it actually created were not up and running and functional, right? So I think this would be something we would expect from the agent going forward.
But would it be different if we would have a CI pipeline that gives the Q developer feedback that the pipeline has failed?
So if you use Q developer in the IDE, it actually suggests you to create a dev file, which is then actually going to be used to run the tests as well, right? So dev file is a concept of executing local CI/CD pipelines in a container, right? And this is something that they could potentially also do in their GitHub integration.
But also for the GitHub PR, I would expect, because as a developer, you would not suggest someone to review your code unless your CI pipeline is green. So I would expect that Q developer would also iterate on feedback based on the CI pipeline that is running on your PR.
Yes, I think so too. I agree. Okay, so
unfortunately,
that means
Q wasn't possible to generate those pipelines.
Yeah, unfortunately, he wasn't. So now I think if we can offline fix the tests and push them, that would be good for the audience. Let's do one final thing. We asked it to create code owners and contributing MD file for us. We will look at what the results of that is, and then we will kind of try to conclude our initial look at this, right? So as we can see, the code owners file generated, well, it is wrong. It did not catch my username, so it wasn't able to reach the GitHub information. So maybe that's something I need to give him. For this documentation generation PR, the results are okayish, and this is also a good learning, I would say. Okay, with that, Raphael, let's kind of do a little bit of a wrap up. What are your first impressions from the last 30-35 minutes that we spent together on this?
So I think it is interesting way to integrate GenAI to your PR reviews. It can give you, it could help you get a feedback itself. I'm not 100% convinced by the generating part of generating all the code that is relevant for this PR, because the quality was not as good as I would have expected. As of now, I think I get a faster feedback loop if I use the same things on a local agent that is running in my IDE, because then I have faster feedback, have the code directly, review it, and then guide the agent in my local IDE, rather than using this PR approach. Because in a PR approach, if I get to a ping pong mode and have to review the same PR 4 or 5 times a day, then it may be a little bit cumbersome to get out the result. Yeah. But it could be a good baseline to have, okay, before some human is reviewing your code changes, then an AI agent will review your PR and give you some quality gates there or feedbacks. Because if humans review a big PR, they probably will miss some common things or easy parts of a PR, because if the PR is too big, that could be challenging.
Yep, I agree. I think there is a benefit of using it for things that you don't just want to do manually, where you don't expect a lot of ping pong, but the moment that you get into ping pong mode, you actually have an issue over there. I would say the code generated wasn't that bad. Unfortunately, it wasn't functional, right? And I think this is one of the main expectations that I have for these kind of coding agents. And this is not just QDeveloper. There is also similar possibilities, right, in other parts where also the code generated isn't always functional. And I think that's what we're going to need to see, that it becomes better. Another thing, that I'm kind of missing is still the possibility to really, it doesn't yet feel native, right? So if you look at first, there is the Q developer writing code, then there is the agent reviewing code, then there is Raphael or Johannes reviewing the code. It just feels like there's too many steps in that whole process, right? And that causes too many iteration loops. So I can see that there is a possibility to maybe nest some of these steps somehow, right? So especially where agent to agent comes into play, that's something that I think would be good. And then what I would love to see is the possibility now to get my own standards to be reviewed by an agent as well, right? So kind of giving it my own rule set that I want to have applied, and then the agent taking that into account, right? And by default, or maybe even connecting my own agent, like using any of the new protocols that we have for agent-to-agent communication, right? That might be something that would also be possible, right? Because then I can integrate my own kind of setup of the reviews that I want to do. Cool. Raphael, thank you. I think this was a fun recording, a good thing to look at. We need to make sure that we get this out pretty soon because that would give us a good momentum. But before we depart, you're wearing a new red shirt. You changed your role, right?
Yes. So I switched from being a consultant to now be more on the product side. So I joined Dash Zero. We are an observability provider based on the open telemetry standards. So we build our product fully compatible around the open standard. And so we might look into CI/CD observability in the future. So if you're interested, Johannes, we can definitely record something in this direction as well, because observability is not only for the application and infrastructure level, also CI/CD can be very valuable to gain insights about your delivery pipelines.
Yeah, I have a few things on my roadmap that I wanted to record, and definitely I would love to do a video around observability and CI/CD, because there is also a special interest group in the CNCF that is focused on that, and I think that there is a lot of benefit of starting to talk more about that. So as always, I'll get back to you on that. I need to prepare some stuff for that, and then I hope that we can do something that might be focused on your new role as well. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope that this gave you some insights into how QDeveloper in GitHub is going to be used or can be used as of today. We recorded this on the day after the announcement of QDeveloper. So if you're watching this video a few weeks later, there might be a lot of changes already in the product. Yeah, we'd love to hear your comments, your experiences with QDeveloper in the IDE, not in the IDE, in GitHub, and then see how you are actually using that to be more productive, or maybe not be more productive when writing code. Thank you so much, and talk to you soon. Bye. Bye, Raphael.